beautiful friends. It's Julia here from Made by the Chef. Transformation is a journey. And in fact, what you can call it is a hero's journey. So Joseph Campbell, an American academic, a literary professor who taught comparative myths and religion, he wrote a book. And the name of the book was called The Hero of 1,000 Faces. And what came out of that book was this monomyth called The Hero's Journey. And if any of you have gone through any kind of period of transformation or change, you'll be able to relate to this. So the hero starts out in their ordinary life, and that's the start of the hero's journey. So when Joseph Campbell wrote his book, he wrote it based on 3 acts. So it had Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And then later on, some years down the line, a screenwriter, Christopher Vogler, took that and he adapted it, utilising all of the subsections and the acts of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey to create the 12 steps of the hero's journey. So the hero starts out in their ordinary life, in their comfort zone, I suppose you could call it. And I'm sure you can all probably relate to that. So they've got their nice little life going on, and actually it might not be a particularly great life, but it's a life. It's there, it's happening, and it's just ordinary, everyday life. But then what happens is that this person is suddenly called to an adventure. And that's the next step in the hero's journey. So something happens. Someone hands them this great baton of responsibility, calls them. There's a calling. They experience something in their life. So maybe something went wrong. Maybe they had a life adversity. There was some sort of catastrophe. Or maybe they just had been thinking that actually this life isn't working for me. And they realized they needed to do some changes. And they receive this call to adventure. But we all know what happens when you're in your comfort zone and then suddenly this kind of catastrophic moment happens in your life. Could be anything, or it might not even be a catastrophic moment. It might be something really exciting that you've been asked to do, a journey you've been asked to go on. But when that happens, what happens to us? We suddenly experience fear. We freeze in fear. And actually, our initial reaction is to turn down the offer, is to turn down the opportunity to go and do the thing that we have to do, that we are being called to do. That is the next step in the hero's journey, is the refusal of the call. And it is our brains, because our brains will immediately kick into that fear factor, the disturbance of our comfort zone. But of course, when you're called, when there is a calling, and the universe has quite an amazing way of coming back and nipping at you and biting at your bum until you're willing to take that challenge, till you're willing to grab that sword, that baton, whatever it is, to go and fight the cause. You get called up again. And sometimes in the hero's journey, he's called up in the form of a mentor. It could be the form of a teacher or someone who advises them. It could be a family member, it could be a complete stranger. They have a kind of a moment. They have this, I guess in some ways, a little bit of an epiphany, because they meet this person, they meet this mentor who will give them some kind of profound advice. It's at that point that the hero decides, okay, I'm going to take you up on this. I'm going to go and I'm going to start that journey. I'm going to do this. Because actually what they realise, and what many of us have probably been in the same situation, is that, yes, our life actually isn't that particularly great, or things aren't working for us right now, and there needs to be changes. And we have to make that commitment to make that change. So that's when we enter. We cross the threshold. Once we cross that threshold, so in Joseph Campbell's book, Hero of 1,000 Faces, you enter into Act 2. So Joseph Campbell says, this is a great quote, "We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us." And that really essentially is a beautiful way to describe that sort of halfway point in that hero's journey. They're willing to let go and give up some parts of their old life, or all of their old life, strip themselves bare, get rid of what's not serving them anymore, so that they can start this quest. They can go on this quest for this new life and this new start, this new beginning. So of course, with every great hero, and if you've watched those Marvel films or read about those comic heroes, of course they're going to meet their enemies and their allies, and there's going to be tests. So this is always the great part of that film when you go to the movies, go to the cinema, and you watch those films where the hero is on their journey, and then suddenly they have to start fighting off all these people that are attacking them and coming at them. And of course, with every hero, and in all of our lives, we will have that. If we start a new job, what about when you were going off to university? That is a hero's journey. When you left home, you went to stay, live by yourself, or share a room with someone you didn't know, and go to university, start this new course, this new place, new scenery you've never been before. That is essentially a hero's journey. So of course, what's going to happen? You're going to meet people that you may not particularly like. You might meet someone that, actually you're not too sure about, but in the end, it turns out they become your best friend. These are all tests. These are all, almost in a way, you're kind of collecting a team. So when you kind of experience this test, allies and enemies scenario, this step in the hero's journey, that's what it's about. It's about making friends. It's about having to fight off those that are trying to get into the way of your hero's journey. This is where one of the parts of the hero's journey that Christopher Vogler puts in is the approach to the innermost cave. And actually, really, when you look at it, the innermost cave is what's inside you. It's what's in your head. Because occasionally you will get to a point where you might hit a brick wall. You might have to face your own fears. And actually, that is such a crucial part of a hero's journey, because there are so many times when we have to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, because this is the only way we can learn and we can grow. So you have to approach your own mind, approach your own fears. Once you cross that threshold, you have to experience the ordeal. So, many times in our lives, when we go through changes, or when we make a decision to change, we encounter lots of opposition. We encounter lots of negative comments. We encounter friends and family, people we thought were close to us, people we were friends with, people we would hang out with, who might not like the idea of us going through this change. They might not like the thought of us becoming this other person. And so we have to overcome that. We have to face that ordeal. Because with every transformation, it's a bit like a snake shedding their skin. They have to go through that process. The caterpillar in its cocoon, they have to go through that process of change in order to emerge. The snake emerging with its beautiful new skin. The caterpillar emerging as a butterfly with its glorious wings. After we've experienced the ordeal, we get a reward. And of course we do. Of course we do. You see, when we are on a hero's journey, we will be rewarded. We will get those rewards because we deserve that. We've earned that. We've made those changes. We've made those changes to our lives, and therefore the rewards will come. So once the hero receives their reward, this is an affirmation. This is confirmation that the hero has made it. The hero is on the right track. They're on the right journey. Then, of course, it's resurrection. You see, and I've said this before, with death comes life. Once you go on a journey of transformation, that journey of change, you hit those roadblocks, You experience those ordeals. You experience that change. You have to swashbuckle and fight off those enemies. You are reborn. There is resurrection because you are resurrecting your new life. You're resurrecting that spirit within you to live again, to come out and be the person that you always wanted to be. You return heroic. You return triumphant. So you don't return back to your new life. You may return to the place where you live. You may return home like a student who goes off to university. They return home newly educated. They've gained extra knowledge. They've learned new skills. This is that return home. And it isn't easy, because sometimes when we return home, we do encounter people that aren't happy about the way we've changed, the way we've become. But that's something they have to deal with. That's their problem. Because actually, you're right. You've changed. You've become this amazing new person. You have been reborn. And that is your hero's journey. Joseph Campbell says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Thanks for listening. I hope the hero's journey has helped you to work out where you are, what steps you are in your journey. I'd love to hear your story. I run my own program, the 12-step hero's journey, and I'd love you to join me on that. Get in touch with me. My email's in the blurb of the video. Have a wicked day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.